Hey, welcome back, Better Call Saul friends. Today we're going to go through 8 questions that I am quite confident that the series finale of Better Call Saul is going to answer on Monday night for Season 6, Episode 13. If you do not want to hear guesses or predictions or some of the teasers that they put out for this episode, and they really don't give away much, but if you don't want to hear any of that, please do not watch this video. Also, if there's any questions that you're confident that they're going to answer or any predictions, no spoilers, but any predictions that you have, please put them down in the comment section below. Let's jump into it, and I'm going to start to kind of whet everyone's appetite with some quotes that Vince Gilligan and Bob Odenkirk had about the finale. There's no spoilers in here, but if you don't want to listen to, people talking about the episode, now's your chance to stop watching. Okay, so I'll put this up on the screen. This is Vince Gilligan. And Vince said in an interview last week, "I can talk with unabashed delight about the finale because I had very little to do with it," Gilligan said. "Peter wrote and directed it, and he is a modest gentleman, so he's not going to talk about how freaking great it is. It is awesome. I can't wait for people to see it. It was such a delight. I was busy shooting 12 when Peter was writing and starting to direct 13. Man, I can't wait for people to see it." Oh my gosh, that gets me so excited. And then we've got another quote from Bob in the same interview, I believe. And he's got a really interesting quote as well. He seems excited about it. Maybe not as excited as Vince is, but I think it's an encouraging quote about the finale. Here's what Bob had to say. "I'm not stressed out, and I haven't been since I read it, because you and the writers have found a way to deliver on the heart of the show. And I think the other reason I'm not stressed out is over the course of 6 years, I feel like the audience has been amazing, just amazing, and they are dialed into what this show is about. Breaking Bad is such a huge monster show, and it is a cornerstone of really television. So I was always concerned about the show casting the wrong dimension onto our show as we found our feet, but I don't think that's happened. I think we've been allowed to find our own place to live and own what matters to the show, the place this show lives in. I think this ending goes right to the heart of where this show found itself." Beautiful. Beautiful. I get kind of what Bob means here, but I don't really have any predictions based on what he's saying here. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this quote and what that means, especially in terms of, it goes to the heart of the show, which I think is who is Jimmy McGill, but we'll get to that in a second. So let's jump into the 8 questions that I have here for us. The very first question I have that I think I'm really confident they're going to answer, no, I know they're going to answer, is, will we see Kim and Jimmy meet again? Are they going to meet in person again? Now, Kim's ending in Waterworks could very well be the conclusion of her character. Her performance in that episode was that good that I would be satisfied if we wrapped things up with Kim there. However, just as this is a show about Jimmy McGill and Saul Goodman, it's also, to a lesser extent, a show about Kim Wexler. So would I be surprised if we do not see Kim? Yeah, I personally would be if we don't see Kim in this episode, and I also would be surprised if she does not interact with Jimmy, Gene, Saul in some way for one last time. And I think it would be really satisfying if, they put the story together and they were able to meet in person. So I think and I hope that they do meet again in person one last time. The second question that they're going to answer for us on Monday night is, does the Suzuki Esteem make a reappearance? And if so, how? Or is it just misdirection? Now, this is one of the teasers that they put out after last week's episode where, they show the Suzuki Esteem, which is crashed in the New Mexico desert. And then we hear Gene or Saul repeating the Hoover Max extract line that we've heard before. So we assume as viewers that Saul's Suzuki Esteem is still in that abandoned New Mexico desert, and the last person to have seen it was Lalo and Nacho. But has someone else discovered it? If so, who? Is it the police because they are now investigating everything that Kim wrote in that affidavit? Or is there some other character going after that Esteem for some reason? Or again, is it just misdirection? The writers love to create types of misdirection in terms of the teasers and what actually happens on the show. So maybe it doesn't make that big of a appearance, and maybe it doesn't mean all that much. But we're going to find out on Monday night. The third question they're going to answer is Kim going to be in any kind of legal trouble? Now, we know in the last episode, she said to Cheryl she was not sure if she would be prosecuted, and there's, not really any physical evidence, and the only other person that, could corroborate her story is her husband, if he's still alive, her ex-husband, if he's still alive. Of course, Kim did know, that Gene was alive at that point. So that was a little bit odd, and I'm not sure how that's going to play into the story. The other thing that I have to think about here is Cheryl asks, why are you doing this? Why are you coming forward now? And they actually cut off that scene before they let Kim answer. And so why is that? Is it just because they wanted us to see Kim's guilt on the bus, and that was like kind of the sufficient answer? Or is there something else going on that Kim's going to address in this next episode about why she's doing all of this? I think, we're definitely going to find out the answer to that right now. I think either option could be sufficient storytelling, but we'll have to see in terms of why they cut off that scene. Also, I know a lot of people in my last video commented, Scott, there's no way that they're going to prosecute Kim based on the evidence that they have. I hear you, but we've got to see, if anything's going to come forward in terms of the legal developments with what Kim just did in the courthouse with the affidavit and with Cheryl. So I think it's still a little bit of a lingering question, although I do understand people saying, she's not going to face any legal trouble there. The fourth question that they're going to answer for us is, are we going to see any more flashbacks either to the Breaking Bad timeline or the Better Call Saul timeline? And if we do see flashbacks, who is going to be in that flashback? I know, by the way, I know Bob Odenkirk did an interview with Eric from Inside the Gilliverse, and from what I heard, and I just saw this, I just saw the comment. I heard that Bob gave away some spoilers in that interview, so I intentionally did not watch that episode. If you watched that episode and you heard whatever spoilers or semi-spoilers that Bob gave away, please do not put it in the comments below. Keep it to yourself until Monday night's episode. Now, that being said, that whatever Bob said might be related to flashbacks. It might not. I'm really not sure. But in terms of flashbacks, given the huge role that Chuck McGill, has had in Jimmy's life, it would make a lot of sense to see one more flashback of Chuck and their relationship. One of the best scenes of the entire show was, I believe it was season 4, right after Chuck died, when they did the flashback of the Winner Takes All scene, where Chuck and Jimmy just belted out Winner Takes All on the karaoke stage after our man Ernie did some karaoke. So I would love to see Chuck make one more flashback, and I know I'm not alone in that sentiment. The other potential flashback we could have is, could we see Mike or Gus back in the Breaking Bad timeline again? My gut says no, and that their story arcs have been really well completed from what we've seen in the last few episodes. But that is still an option, because we did see Mike in that flashback in the Breaking Bad timeline when he came into Saul's office. So that's still on the table. But my hope and my guess would be, if we see any flashbacks, it's going to be related to Chuck, because especially what Chuck's been saying about Jimmy his whole life, he's kind of been right. He's obviously, if he would have been more encouraging towards Jimmy, then maybe Jimmy would have gone on a different path. But, his negative sentiments towards Jimmy have turned out to be true. And we're going to dive deeper onto that when the series ends. But something to think about. Can we see Charles McGill again? The fifth question they're going to answer for us is, will we see more of Walt? And if so, how? Now, one popular theory that I've heard a lot, especially from my man Pete Peppers, is that we might get an extended scene of Walt and Saul in the basement of Ed the vacuum cleaner. And that would make a lot of sense, since they have shown us scenes before they've shown us flashbacks of scenes that we've already seen on Breaking Bad. So, for instance, we saw in Breaking Bad, Jesse and Walt kidnap Saul, and then in Better Call Saul, we saw an extended scene, from what was going on there, just giving some extra added context. So we might see something like that where they're in the basement and we see Saul give Walt some kind of reflection on why he's leaving Albuquerque, or not why he's leaving Albuquerque, but his reflections on leaving Albuquerque, how everything fell apart for both of them, and what they're going to do next, what their plans are, what they're thinking about everything that's going on. Because we didn't really hear them reflecting on much. Walt was obviously trying to game plan with Saul back then, and Saul kind of turned him down, and that was it. So I think that's a great option, and I would love to see that. The sixth question they're going to answer for us is, what will Gene Takovic do next? I made a video on this a couple days ago where I laid out 11 different options that I think Gene has. Check that video out if you're interested in that. Another question we have to ask here about Gene is, what is that significance of the season 6 poster that they set out before the season began of him either putting on or taking off that red jacket? What does that mean? We have not seen that red jacket this season so far, so I would assume that it makes an appearance in the series finale, in Monday night's episode. Or the other option, if the red jacket does not make an appearance, is that red jacket is somehow some kind of metaphor, which is going to make more sense for us when we see the finale. So will the red jacket appear? If so, how? Or is it a metaphor? And what's Gene going to do next? We're going to find out on Monday. The seventh question they're going to answer for us is, will Gene's life regain color by the end of the finale? Although it's a little predictable to say yes, if they were to pull off a great episode, great story, where Gene faces his moral reckoning, and then in the final scenes, or in the final scenes, multiple scenes, the color comes back into his life, I think personally that would be very satisfying for me to see, as long as they do the story in the right way, which they definitely sound like they're very confident that the story is going in the right direction. So will Gene regain color in his life by the end of the episode? I think so. Again, that's probably most people's guesses. But and I should also mention, they don't necessarily, Vince and Peter, especially in the Breaking Bad finale, they didn't do some kind of like unpredictable ending. So I think there might be some things that, us in the YouTube community, in the Reddit community, wherever, we might be able to guess some of what's going to happen. So I don't think everything needs to be a surprise, but it does sound like, some things will be a surprise in the finale. And then the eighth question that I'm quite confident they're going to answer is, will Gene reflect on his life and what he's done for the very first time? We all hope so. I really think so. The entire Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul universe has been about how actions have consequences. Every major character on the show that I can think of has tackled the consequences of their actions. Gus and Mike, as we know, have each fully realized for years what they were doing, why they were doing it. They've internalized it, and they still kept on going down that road. Kim and Howard both acknowledged their actions, very different actions, and they took very different routes in terms of how they responded to them, how they responded to the actions that they were not proud of. But there are still consequences there. And then, of course, Walt, famously at the end of Felina, the last episode of Breaking Bad, their finale, he came to terms to Skyler about that he was not doing this for the family. He was doing it because he truly felt alive. So will Jimmy McGill come to the same sort of realization that really every other major character in this universe has come to? I have to believe that he will. And although the question remaining is, what does that actually mean for the story? And for that, I think that's all up in the air. If you've got any ideas about what that's going to mean for the story, put it in the comments section below. And that is all I have for today. If you have any additional questions that you think they're going to answer, any predictions that you have for Monday night, I would love to hear it in the comments section down below. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Yes, that's it. Quite right, huh?
I know what you were.
what you are. People don't change. You're Slippin' Jimmy. And Slippin' Jimmy I can handle just fine, but Slippin' Jimmy with a law degree is like a chimp with a machine gun.
Now, guys like you think you're so damn smart. And you think you don't have to play straight with anybody. The wheel is gonna turn. It always does.
But you're the one who made him this way. He idolizes you. He accepts you. He takes care of you. And all he ever wanted was your love and support. But all you've ever done is judge him. You never believed in him. You never wanted him to succeed.
You are done!